Hi, good evening. Welcome back to me. So we've got Bitcoin's price at 117,323, same as where we left off 2 days ago when I last streamed. I didn't stream yesterday. I got a little too busy, but that's besides the point. Low volatility weekend as expected. We actually got a bit of a drop going on here for Bitcoin. We were at 118,000. I call this a drop, but it's not really a drop. It's just a normal price movements, right? I mean, if you want to count 116,000, what was our low point? 24 hour, 116,456. Sure, right? Some volatility there, but nonetheless, we are still in an uptrend, as I've always mentioned. None of that has changed. The only thing that really has changed is time, right? So we may or may not have to make a couple of adjustments, but we'll get there once we start talking about the rest of cryptocurrencies we typically do discuss. Overall, in terms of news, it's like really not a lot of news, not a lot of stuff going on geopolitically or in terms of crypto. But I still got some stuff to talk about, so yeah, just forewarning, it might not be as long of a stream as you guys seem to enjoy. Nobody enjoys these. Anyway, we still have our all-time high, 123,000, which we are not too far off of. 4.50% increase in Bitcoin. We'll see that all-time high once again, which is absolutely possible, by the way. Super trend is at 114,662, where it invalidates. We have new pivot levels. Support 1 is at 115,200. So based off of these 2 points right here, you could assume 115,000 will be a support level. You can confirm that, right? Rest assured. Will we reach that? It could be possible, right? Any bad news that we could get from either Monday or Tuesday could bring us down to these levels, but we should expect a bounce immediately from there. So, if the news aren't as bad and you don't have any exposition into Bitcoin and you really want it, I'd suggest maybe a little. I don't make suggestions. I don't give financial advice, but you get the point. Maybe it would be a good time to consider a small entry for a trade. Like, you know, you just enter down here and you exit up here kind of deal. Yeah, once price hits 115,000, ideally should be a good moment to enter. I'm expecting a bounce upward. If we do close below this, though, for a period of time, maybe until the next day we're below 114,000 and super trend flips negative, then yeah, you should start panicking. And I don't know, we do have a good support level over here. 111,000 is what it looks like. 112,000 actually. Yeah, that's where your next support level is after 115. So keep those two in mind. If we don't bounce here, we bounce a little bit further down here. Gives us another like 2% to breathe before we continue rising upwards. Because my vision is still upward. There's nothing really that is pushing the price down. We could get some bad stuff that can happen in August, but that stuff can turn around if you have enough faith. So, I mean, I'm not saying, like, that's basically a bet at this point. What do you bet is going to happen? Like, are these people going to follow through with their little threats that they got, right? You got Jerome Powell threatening to not cut rates. Maybe he changes his mind. You got Donald Trump threatening to impose more tariffs to the countries after giving a delay. Maybe he'll change his mind. And you've got Russia, who doesn't seem to have budged from their little ultimatum of 50 days to reach a peace deal with Ukraine. Or maybe they'll change their mind and work something out. So those are the three little catalysts where, you know, if any of those guys change their minds, it will be for the better of the crypto market specifically. So just things to look out for in the foreseeable future for August. 50 days, though, in terms of Russia-Ukraine ceasefire deal, that's going to be a little bit after August. So you do the math. I'm not going to do the math. It's 50 days. It's almost 2 months. We're in July. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that it should be by September. But I'm assuming, you know, maybe they'll come to by August. You know, they still got some time to attack Ukraine if that's the way you want to see it, before actually reaching a peace deal. So I think that's what Russia might do, because they are winning this war, by the way, in Russia-Ukraine. That is why, you know, Trump says, okay, you're going to have to work out a peace deal. Otherwise, we're going to give Ukraine more weapons, defense systems, etc. Practically the same thing that the Biden administration was doing. So we'll be back to square one at that point, and nothing will work. So I'm hoping that they do get to a ceasefire deal, because I as well do want that war to end. Nobody likes to see it happen. Yeah, that's all. Next up, I do have some positions open as well that I will discuss later. First, we'll move on to Ethereum, somehow up 4% today, reaching a high of 3,823. We are just getting closer and closer to 4,000 Ethereum once again. And we just have this downtrend as our challenger line. It's practically that resistance at 4,000, right? Hovering my mouse close enough to it, it does look like that is going to be the case. And I, for one, think... Actually, do want to confirm this before I say anything about it. Will we get any big liquidations at that level? Can we... You know what? I'm looking at the wrong source. I have two liquidation heat maps, but I prefer this one because it combines everything. At least that's what I like to tell myself. What do we got? In terms of short liquidations, that's what I'm looking for. So we got a couple. 284 million at 3,828, which is like immediately very close. We got a lot more over here. 290, 260, 250 million at 3,870, 80, 90 approximately. What do we got in terms of... I'm gonna have to go to like 6 months, honestly, because it's been a long time that Ethereum has been down, and we're just now coming back up. Mentioned this to a friend of mine who's also invested in Ethereum for a long time. Hey, if you're tired of Ethereum, you want to break even, now's the time, right? In terms of short liquidations, though, it seems like nothing else really shows up over here. Lots of all these shorts have already been liquidated, so maybe I'm too far out. I don't know. Maybe I don't have enough historical data. I don't know where to go from here. But it seems like it's not loading much information, right? Still got a couple million over here to be liquidated. Lots of longs to get liquidated over here. Below 3,000. Seems like people kind of learned their lesson and they're playing it a bit more safe. This is like a 3x leverage play. Most of these people, right? It's pretty obvious there. So realistically, no, not a lot of liquidations for shorts left on Ethereum. Cool stuff to see anyway. So we might struggle to continue higher, right? In terms of support levels, we still got 3,525. Super trend invalidates 3,383. We're still in an uptrend though, and it's been rising during this weekend, which is pretty good for Ethereum. So happy to see at 3,743. Deserved. Actually deserves to be higher. But I still hold some Ethereum. Haven't really sold all of it. Of course, I could have been making more profits on it, but it is what it is. I still made profit nonetheless. Solana on a bit of a rise as well. We did get stuck at this... What is this level? 184? A double top, triple top maybe? 1, 2, 3 times we hit that. We approached it again over this weekend. That 185 level practically. I'll move this to 185. I think it's easier to... Yeah, that makes more sense. 185. We're at 179, so might take a bit till we reach at about 3%. In terms of supports, we have our pivot level, 174. Fibonacci wouldn't pay too much attention to that. And then support 1, you could probably pay attention to this level, 165, where super trend also invalidates. That would be our last resort in terms of support, right? So we got about a 3% drop from here, and then another maybe 4.5% drop before we start becoming into a downtrend temporarily, because we do have another longer term uptrend that should be taking us back up to where we deserve to in the case of an unfortunate drop, which for the foreseeable future is not likely to happen. So fear not. XRP chilling at the very, very top, which is really nice to see. $3.44 is the current price after breaking a new all-time high at $3.66. We're kind of hovering where we were of our 2018 high is what I think this was. So really good for XRP as well. Sharp increase right over here. Super trend invalidates at $3.12. It's been doing really good. Although SUI is still in the lead, in my opinion. $3.88 is the price of SUI. Now that I just mentioned it, I'll talk about it. I actually entered a short position here. It was for bonus. I just got a $100 bonus once again, so it's free money. And I'm already long on literally everything else, so I decided I'll go short. And if my short position works out, I'll gladly take whatever pennies I get from it to go along with my longs. And if the short position doesn't work out, I lose nothing, I gain nothing, but I'd still gain from, of course, my longs, which wouldn't bother me either way. So I like to hedge like that a little bit. It's making $3.97. It was a little bit more, of course, about like $6 when it reached this low. Probably a little more. I didn't really look at the charts over here. But yeah, SUI at $3.88. It is up 0.44%. Not too much of a difference from yesterday, although we did rise above $4 during this past 24 hours. $4.03 was our high. And we have just dropped to a low of $3.80. We just recovered a little bit from there. We're at $3.88. We'll see what's next for SUI. In terms of supports, of course, we got this clear level, 354, 355, I'd say 354. And that line just perfectly meets this uptrend over here. So we got plenty of room for SUI to drop. An 8% drop should not scare you. We'd still be in an uptrend. We can easily recover from that as well toward the upside. What a huge spike over here, by the way. 425. This happened on 18th of July, 2 days ago. Really interesting. Moving on to Litecoin. Litecoin actually making some moves over here finally. 117. Slowly creeping its way back up. 11% pump over here on July 19, just out of the blue. Slowing down at this downtrend. I think this is the final downtrend. It is. Before we can start heading higher. Do I have, what is this? This is, these are no longer valid. I could delete that. I should probably draw a fib retracement. This downtrend is also invalid. Fib retracement from wherever this downtrend brings us. Is this from our all-time high? Oh, that is from our all-time high. 300? Yeah. Okay. I think it would be a little too extreme to draw one from this high to this low for resistances, right? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we have a fib level from that at 140. There's a spider in my room. I'm gonna kill it with this. Hang on. It's a very tiny spider. I didn't even kill it. I think I got it. No, I think it dropped. Yeah, whatever. It'll come back with its spider buddies to hunt me at midnight. It is what it is. Alright, anyway, back to this. Sorry. Either that or I could draw... I was thinking maybe more close where I draw from the 147 high that we saw in December to this $60... What was this low? $63 low in April 7, I'm assuming. Yeah. Liberation Day. I think I'll do this for now until we start breaking out again. So it looks like also from a weekly super trend, you got a clear resistance from 126 to 129 for Litecoin. We are slowing down, of course, from this downtrend, right? I think we're easily going to break out of this. We kind of already poked out of it a little bit, which is a good sign. Just need a bit more strength pushing it forward, and we will have already broken out of Litecoin by then. So it's looking good. 3% up today. All right, cool. We'll keep an eye on that. Cardano, 85 cents. Beautiful to see. It reached a high of 89 on 18 of July. From then, we tried approaching it again. We reached 87 cents with 88 millicents. And we dropped currently to where we are, 85 cents. So we're still on track. Cardano is still in an uptrend. Very, very strong. Super trend invalidates at our first support level, 75 cents. for Cardano. We have a pivot level at 82 and Fibonacci 78. So plenty of supports, sorry, before we actually see any breakouts to the downside, which would not be good, which would be devastating. I do want to draw an uptrend here, not here, here. Maybe if I adjust it there. Yeah. It's kind of what we got going on over here for Cardano. Looking good. And these are the positions I am in for SUI and Pump.Fund. Pump.Fund is a position, I think I entered it live. Hey, it timed the bottom pretty well. It did rise a bit over here. I didn't make too much, right? But I'm still expecting, hey, if we do drop, I'll DCA a little bit more because I didn't put too much into this position. What did I put? 900 in total. That's, why does it say 924? That is just a lie. I put $300, 3x. Yeah, here's my margin. It's just subtracting $5 from commissions, right? From the 294 to this, that's $5 in commission to the 300. And this is the current value of it right now based off of my profit and loss, right? How much money it's worth. Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. It's kind of on its way back down right now, but hey, maybe we'll expect a pump. It is pump anyway, Pump.Fund. I always talk about pumps. We all have new pivot levels as well, based off of the very, very small historical data that we do have for it. It's looking at a support at 0.003 and resistance at 0.005, 081. At least that's where the current pivot level is looking at. Okay. And I also had Phantom Sonic now. Over here, I bought over here down there, sold at a good price as well. And it's kind of been oscillating around this area. I did kind of predict this movement as well, that we would bounce up from this. That's pretty decent, but now I don't know where to go from here. I'm hoping it does drop once again. A 10% drop would be pretty neat, where I could start DCAing into it once again. I mean, either way, if you don't have this token, you believe in the project of Sonic, which I do, I think it's going to be great. Maybe it could even outperform something as like SUI. Maybe. On paper, that's what I've read. So, I mean, I could be wrong. Do your own research. But, hey, maybe it does, and it's probably criminally underrated at the moment. Could be a good time to buy. 39 cents? Yeah. Yeah, I would. Just saying. Like on a spot market kind of deal, right? Not right here in futures, right here. It's really difficult to figure out exactly what's going on. Based off of Bitcoin's price action and everything else that follows Bitcoin, you're looking at a rise, bounce from our uptrend, right, to continuation to the upside. CSR, you don't speak Spanish? Yeah, I do. I do speak Spanish. Just not on these streams. I tend to keep these in English because a lot of the news, a lot of the technical terms that I use, I'm used to doing those in English. The news segment that I do as well, it's all in English because of Twitter. And it's just a bit of a hassle for me to mentally translate it into Spanish just to kind of get the same idea across. But my other videos, I do read Spanish narration books. So, yeah. That's good. You speak Spanish too. Where are you from? I'm from Ecuador, South America. Yeah. All right. That's all I got for technical analysis for now. I'm going to go ahead and get into our news. Like I said, we don't got a lot to talk about for news. It's mainly like a bit of political drama in the United States. That's it. And then some crypto news about stuff that we kind of already know about. And yeah. Oh, you're from Mexico. That's cool, man. Well, welcome. All right. Michael Saylor, we already know whenever he posts this, he's going to buy a lot of Bitcoin the next day. So watch out for that. And it's always just this weird thing where every time Michael Saylor buys, Bitcoin's price crashes and everybody's like, why does it crash? The main reason, at least what I've come to realize, is that it's probably OTC that this guy does, over-the-counter trading, where he buys it, you know, from another another user, let's just say, instead of like buying it on the spot market on an exchange, because if he bought hundreds of millions of dollars, which is what he typically buys on an exchange, yeah, it should have a bit of an impact on the price of Bitcoin. But I mean, it's just become so common now. Okay, every week it seems like this guy is buying. You can tell by all this orange, all these orange dots are the amount of times that he has been buying. And you'll notice recently, every week, he's just been buying. Even if Bitcoin is at the tops, he doesn't care. He believes so much in the project and he's accumulating as much as he can, regardless of the price. He tries to raise as much money as he can. And over the weekend, he just buys. Yeah. If I make profit now, what do you mean if I make profit? You can ask me in Spanish. I'll try to reply in Spanish as well, if that makes it comfortable for you. But if you're asking me if I made any profits, yeah, I did. I did make some profits already. I sold on Sunday. When was Sunday? Let me check. Here, Sunday 13. So I sold when everything was like right over here, probably before it rose to the actual highest. Of course, I'm not going to predict the exact top. It's really difficult to do that. But I'm pointing at Bitcoin. I didn't have any Bitcoin. I sold Bitcoin way earlier by accident. I got scared. I'll admit it. But the rest of it, like Ethereum, Solana, XRP, XLM, I also had. Chainlink, Litecoin, Sui, Cardano, also my Pump.fun. I sold a lot. Took a lot of profits on the 13th. I think I said that right. 13th. Yes. So yeah, right now I'm just waiting for some kind of a dip if it does happen, or, you know, just trading basic short-term movements if I come across any of those opportunities. It's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. So we'll see exactly how much Michael Saylor buys by tomorrow. He usually posts another follow-up tweet saying, yeah, we bought this amount of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. So yeah, like I said, it's usually OTC, and it's also pretty obvious because you see the price that he buys it at, and you'll notice, oh, the price, it either didn't touch that, or if it did, it was like not there the whole time kind of deal. So yeah. Am I looking for a ticket? Or do you mean a ticker? I mean, yeah, I'm always down to explore other projects if we ever come across any, right? Let me know if you got any tickers. We can talk about it. I also want to talk here about, well, first of all, James Nguyen, who was shorting Bitcoin. Wrong move, by the way. You never short Bitcoin. But he was shorting Bitcoin thinking 112K was the cycle top. And then, boom, of course, his short and a lot of other people's shorts got very liquidated, causing Bitcoin's price to spike from 112,000 all the way to like 117, 118,000 right after that, causing this user, James Nguyen, to, of course, deactivate his Twitter account out of embarrassment from losing that much. I mean, to be fair, he's been predicting incorrectly multiple times. This guy usually goes like 40x entries and millions of dollars worth of positions, and he ends up losing it all. That's more of like a casino play at that point. You're not even trading, you're just betting on, oh, where is the market going to go, and hoping that you're right. And he's been wrong multiple times, so that caused him to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, which it's unfortunate, but I mean, come on, really, you were going to short Bitcoin? I mean, you would have felt like a genius if this was actually the scenario, right? Bitcoin double tops at 112,000, and that's it. That's the 2025 cycle. There's no more movement in Bitcoin. But no, that's wrong. It started rising from here. We hit 123,000, and I still think we're going to go much higher. I have one other target set at 135,000. We'll talk about specific Bitcoin targets later on that I do want to share. But yeah, my personal target for Bitcoin, where I think it's going to rise at least 135,000. CSR, I'm 23 years old. Yeah. Born 2001. So, anyways, that was just a backstory on James Nguyen himself. He is pointing out the fact that Bitcoin dominance is dropping to 61.14%. The next few weeks will be insane for altcoins. So now he's bullish. He's just asking people now, what are we buying, right? And matter of fact, he opened a position on Hyperliquid, of course, 25x long on Ethereum, 10x long on Pepe. Those are very, very close liquidation prices, and I feel like using, 10x or 25x, that's like pinpoint entries, and it's so likely to get liquidated. This is why this guy loses a lot of this money, but I don't even know how he's getting all these millions of dollars. Although he only deposited 500,000 with 25x or 10x, like that is millions of dollars worth. The current long position is in Ethereum, $12 million, and in Pepe, it's $11 million. And you can see his positions here. They get liquidated like really close. 3,400 for Ethereum, imagine that. And for Pepe, you're liquidating at whatever, 0.12. What is Pepe's price at? I have not checked it. Pepe's a good meme coin as well. I like it. It's at 0.13 right now. So if this drops to 0.12, what was it? 12, I'm blind. 12.99.8. Wow, so that's literally at 13 then. That is so close. Like, to drop this much, what would this be? Almost a 6% drop on Pepe, you're out. Like, that's it. That's crazy. I would never risk this amount. Don't do what this guy does. He's crazy. He's dumb. But, yeah. So there you go. Anyways, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, first of all, I don't got a lot of topics, but Bitcoin dominance is one of the things that he mentioned. So I did want to talk about this as well. Look at this. So this is just it's not like the price of anything. It's basically the amount of money that is in Bitcoin versus the amount of money that is in other altcoins, whether that be stable coins or other projects like Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, etc. No, to answer your question, I don't use order blocks. Not really. I've studied it, but not something I really get interested in. Anyways, we've seen a weekly chart though, like Bitcoin dominance has been dropping quite significantly, meaning that the money in Bitcoin is decreasing, or that also means that the money into altcoins has started increasing relative to Bitcoin. This is a decent sign. It's, first of all, it could be a sign that, Bitcoin's top could be in, although I don't think it is. I still think we are going to go higher. Like, Bitcoin can still go higher, and so can altcoins. And, this is not going to tell you much about the relation between the two. It's only going to give you the difference between how much is in Bitcoin, how much is in altcoins. And it seems like the sentiment is now going toward altcoins. We're approaching that 60% mark. So that should let you know, like, hey, you're still kind of early to get into altcoins before this starts dropping, like something we saw back in 2021, where so much money just started going into altcoins and people were like, okay, Bitcoin made its all-time high. We already took our profits from Bitcoin. What else is there that still has not reached an all-time high and that is still very cheap? That was the mindset back in 2021 with a much lower market cap in crypto in general, right? Now we've got a lot higher market cap in crypto, and there's more institutional adoption. There's ETFs now, which should bring a lot of volume into the markets. So we should start seeing these numbers, when they do drop, rise a lot for altcoins in terms of its price and market cap. I think we'll enter something higher. Depends on what the altcoin is, of course. Some of them are inflationary, some of them have died off. A lot of them are meme coins, you'll notice that as well, and that will play a huge part into this as well, don't get me wrong. But like for inflationary coins, it's probably not going to be as great as it once was in 2021 if you saw any crazy risings on, I'm talking specifically about like Polkadot or Kronos. Those are the ones that come to mind for now, but you get the point. So that's what we got. Get out. Moving on. Trump posted a 8-minute Bitcoin explanation on his Truth Social account. This is also why it is so good now to be in crypto. We have the support, the backup from the president himself, which is a great step in the right direction for the government to embrace crypto. Of course, depends on how they use it or what they do to regulate it. They're obviously, this administration at least has made it clear that they were against the central bank digital currency, which is good, right? We don't want that. It's, that's just going to bring centralization on something that was built to be decentralized, right? So we don't want none of that stuff. And yeah, like you even have Donald Trump just posting clips on his Truth Social on what Bitcoin is to try to get like the average retail investor interested in investing into Bitcoin as well. I mean, he's given us a lot of good moments and a lot of bad moments, right? Trump does bring volatility, and that's why people would say, "Oh, forget what you know about technical analysis, anything that you learn from trading books and stuff like that. Just read Donald Trump's Twitter, and that's all you got to do," right? That's the mentality that some people genuinely have, and they would have, myself included, they would have Trump's posts ready, like any notification that they get notified for any recent post and immediately check the markets or base their reaction off the markets like that. Although we know there is like advanced trading bots that take advantage of this. Like any article that comes out uses natural language processing to determine, is this a good news article or a bad news article? And then it would make a trading decision based off of that. Stuff I learned in fintech. So it's pretty cool. Am I streaming anywhere else? No, I'm not. I'm only streaming on YouTube. Because, yeah, I don't feel like doing multi-streaming for now. I'll only focus on YouTube. Just keep it simple for myself. Yeah. Moving on. Cantor Equity Partners 4 files for an IPO. So this means that this company will try to release itself publicly on a stock exchange, right? That's what an IPO is. And which is their 5th SPAC vehicle after securing 2 Bitcoin treasury deals. So this company that has 2 Bitcoin treasury deals will also has just applied to go live on a stock exchange, on the stock exchange. So that should be pretty good. Growing corporate treasury arms race. That's also like, it's starting to become like a thing. Like investors would want to see, okay, how good is this company? Okay, do they give any, I don't know, dividends? Are they a growth company, value company? What are their revenues like? How much does a CEO have? How much is divided between its investors? Things like that, right? Things that you should be looking at in a company, right? Their value that they provide to their investor, the amount of return that they can provide. And also, another thing that people will start to pay attention to and make an investment decision on a company for is, hey, do they have a Bitcoin treasury? Right? MicroStrategy does that. So that's why a lot of people do invest in MicroStrategy. I think MicroStrategy, it's not that great of a company, right? But because like you've seen their stock price. In 2001, they were at $300. And then they crashed to like, what was it, a $9 per share? Like it crashed really bad, 99%. And it stayed low for all those years since 2001, all the way until just recently when Michael Saylor said, recently, I mean in the past couple of years, yeah, we're going to start buying Bitcoin and adding it to our treasury. People thought he was crazy. Oh, it's a dead company. What are you even doing? And then Bitcoin started rising. This was after 2022, 2023. It started rising even more. And now look at where MicroStrategy is, making all-time highs, $400 per stock. So it came back in a really big way. So people are starting to notice, okay, Bitcoin treasuries, they can actually be beneficial for a company, right? If they just have a portion of their company's value in that Bitcoin treasury, right? Of course, you have some companies where it's mainly run by older people who don't understand the power of Bitcoin. They will decide to not like get involved with Bitcoin at all. They think, oh, it's too risky of an asset. And that's why you've seen like big companies, Meta, Microsoft, I think even Amazon, or what was it, McDonald's? I don't remember, some other company, declining or like they held a vote with their shareholders and they voted no on a Bitcoin treasury deal. Microsoft, I think it was. It was Microsoft. Yeah. So you have those companies that are like, yeah, no, we don't want Bitcoin treasury. Bitcoin too risky. Forget about it. But then you have other companies that are like, yeah, let's go all in on Bitcoin. And then it's either like some people would like, I don't know, they're probably not even investing in the company for the company. That's what I feel like is going on with MicroStrategy. Although they are doing some good stuff, right, with their other stocks that they have, Strife and Strike and Strife, whatever it is, which give a lot of good yields and stuff. But like they're just investing in it because of their exposition into Bitcoin, really, right? Yeah, because you'll notice like stuff with MicroStrategy, they have bad earnings like almost every time. Can I check here? I have to go to MicroStrategy, MSTR. Nice, MSTD, MSDT, MSTR. Here. Yeah, you see this? Like all bad earnings every time. And if you just compare this to like the price of Bitcoin, it's the same thing, the same movement. So it's just determining that the influence of the movement of MicroStrategy, for example, it's all based off of the movement of Bitcoin because they have so much Bitcoin, right? Now, not to say that this company is going to have its price movements exactly like Bitcoin either, because I don't know exactly how much the Bitcoin treasury deals are worth, but like, I don't know, depends on how much they have, I would say, is how similar the movement of their price would be to the movement of Bitcoin's price. But at that point, you're just like, okay, are we really doing this? Just invest in Bitcoin at that point. I don't know exactly what this company does. You'd have to do a bit more research. But yeah, that's my take on that. London Stock Exchange Group considers launching a 24-hour trading as exchanges race to extend access amid rising demand from small investors active outside traditional market hours. That'll be good for, mainly the stock market, I suppose. But if we're getting more companies that are embracing Bitcoin, like I showed you with the previous thing, the treasury deals and all that kind of stuff, could be beneficial in that sense as well. Although this specifically is the London Stock Exchange, and, we know that Europe isn't really all that crypto friendly just yet. This has also been talked about in the US markets. We're probably going to see 24/7 trading soon. We kind of do have 24/7 trading with tokenized stocks, RWA, right? That's why it exists. That's why it's been, going really well. Ironically, in Europe, Robinhood has allowed this. And you can also invest in companies that you can invest in publicly, which is based off of just general market speculation. There's no specific price for it. I'm talking mainly about, here I go again, SpaceX and OpenAI. I hope it was SpaceX. It could have been Starlink. I mess those up every time. I'm pretty sure it's SpaceX. Yeah. So yeah, that's eventually going to become a possibility. That's also part of the reason why, like me specifically, I prefer trading crypto than I would trading traditional stocks, is because of that 24/7 factor, right? I decide to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. It's available there for me. That's what I like about crypto. And stocks is like, okay, it's Sunday. I have so much free time. Let me check my stock portfolio. Oh, wait, the market is closed. I can't do anything. Guess I got to wait until Monday when I'll be busy doing something else, right? So, yeah, it's a bit inconvenient, in my opinion. Even though I'm never busy and I'm always available, but that's besides the point. I'm talking about, like, other people, not me. Hackers have recently targeted government agencies and businesses, exploiting a vulnerability in Microsoft Server software. There's no other news that came out on top of this, so just saying it, like, okay, there you go. Hackers doing hacks. Watch out, change your passwords, I guess. And of course, specifically Microsoft exploit, shaking my head. Multiple members of Congress plan to criminally refer Jerome Powell to the Department of Justice. Of course, just adding to the pressure of getting this guy to cut the interest rates, which is costing the United States billions of dollars because the debt is so high and we have to pay so much interest on it. We want those rates reduced to pay less interest, to reduce the effect on the debt. But hey, we raised the debt ceiling by $5 trillion with that one big beautiful bill, so I don't know what they really want anymore. And neither does Elon Musk. That's why he quit. But now they're like trying to take genuine action or find a loophole to try to get Jerome Powell out of office, to replace him with someone who will actually do what Donald Trump wants. Another thing that I've talked about before. Trump really is wanting those rates to be reduced. He expects them to be reduced to like 1%. For context, the current rate is like 4.5%. So he wants those rates cut bad. And the most that we're going to get this year is like a 50% basis point rate cut for this year, right? By the end of this year, by December, we're expecting that to be at a 4% interest rate, which, okay, rate cuts are a rate cut, but it's fine. But we want more, right? And I mean, if we are at all-time highs right now, both in stock market, crypto market, everything, with these high interest rates, imagine what's going to happen if, okay, we'll get these rate cuts. That's already kind of been priced in, the 2 rate cuts that we'll be getting this year. But if we get even more, if Jerome Powell gets fired, we know that's probably going to be a good thing because Trump will appoint somebody else who will reduce the rates even more. Although some people argue like, oh, but it's going to take more than, just one guy that decides it all. It's ultimately the vote between multiple members of the Fed, right? They cast a vote. Some people actually want to hike the rates because of inflation fears from tariffs. Others want to cut rates because they practically agree with Trump. We are paying a lot of interest, and tariffs don't bring inflation, right? The opposite. So Jerome Powell seems to be in the middle there. That's why he hasn't been cutting rates. He hasn't been doing anything. So that's why Trump is calling him, hey, you're too late. Look at the rest of these countries. They're cutting a lot on their interest rates. Look at Canada. Look at Europe, Great Britain, etc. A lot of banks are cutting their rates, and we're still not. We are way behind. You're too late. That's why he gave them that nickname. So, hey, maybe they'll do something with this by bringing them to the DOJ criminally, right? Members of Congress specifically, to try to get Jerome Powell out of office. Maybe Trump is also trying to bully Jerome Powell out of office, same way he did with Justin Trudeau, Canadian Prime Minister, literally bullied him out by calling him Governor Trudeau, Canada, 51st state, right? Join the 51st state. And, putting a lot of pressure on Justin Trudeau. He couldn't take it. He had to resign. His numbers weren't looking good. A lot of people actually agreed with Trump that, Trudeau was not doing a good job. Until, of course, Mark Carney came, turned things around last minute, and took the election. Fair enough, right? Really good timing, I would say, by Mark Carney when it looked like Pierre Poilievre had it in the bag, right? So, complete turnaround. Anyways, this is the political drama that I was referring to earlier. And it's a bit of a lot, honestly, but I'll read the TLDR version from Grok. And it has to do with Barack Obama, and it has to do with the 2016 presidential election for Donald Trump x Hillary Clinton. So it accuses a wide array of individuals, including former President Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, various intelligence and political figures, of orchestrating a seditious conspiracy to undermine the 2016 U.S. presidential election, specifically targeting Donald Trump's campaign through alleged misuse of intelligence and legal processes. The narrative is framed around the Russiagate scandal. You'll see this word thrown around a lot, where declassified documents and investigations, such as those by Inspector General Michael Horowitz and Special Counsel John Durham, revealed significant flaws and potential abuses in the FBI's handling of the FISA warrants against Trump's campaign associate Carter Page, suggesting a politicized effort to influence the election outcome. So, yeah, I guess election fraud is basically what this is. The post claims are part of a broader ongoing debate about the integrity of the U.S. intelligence operations and electoral processes, with recent actions by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, which we'll get to declassify documents aiming to expose what some view as treasonous conspiracy within the Obama administration, challenging mainstream accounts of Russian interference in the 2016 election. So here's more information on it. Here she is, Tulsi Gabbard, saying that there are over 100 documents that proved Barack Obama directed this treasonous conspiracy. Obviously, this is likely going to be taken to the Department of Justice, where Pam Bondi is going to have to decide to do something on this, whether to convict Trump and Hillary, etc., all these people. accusing them of treason, I suppose. Tulsi Gabbard said that this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious that it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic, is ultimately what she said. Of course, this clip is being posted around everywhere of Obama saying that no one, especially the president, is above the law. Hey, if that is the case, then these guys should be allowed to get charged. The same kind of deal that they were... This is the same kind of sentence or phrase, I guess, they were using against Donald Trump when Trump was in trial, when he got that famous mugshot of his from the hush money case, whatever it was, saying that nobody, especially the president, is above the law. When it came to, Hunter Biden laptop story, I guess that didn't really matter, right? And now when it's coming to this, we'll see what happens, right? Trump is now posting all over the place. He is completely agreeing with all of this, saying that all these people are shady, I guess. This is here's an explanation of what this post signifies. The TV show The Brady Bunch, it's a parody of that, saying the Shady Bunch. It depicts former US officials like Samantha Power, Barack Obama, in orange jumpsuits, suggesting corruption, though no peer-reviewed legal evidence supports criminal charges against them, as of right now, July 2025. Their inclusion may reflect political satire rather than fact. Samantha Power's alleged wealth increase, this is what Trump is saying, how did Samantha Power make all of that money? Referring to the wealth increase from $6.7 million to $30 million on just a salary of $180,000 from USAID, as claimed in related posts. It lacks substantiation from credible sources, which found her net worth was already around $20 million before her tenure, derived from book royalties and prior investments, not a sudden spike. So there's a bit of controversy around that, I'd suppose. Yeah. That's all it says for this, and then even Trump's doubling down on it. He posted this AI video of Barack Obama getting arrested in the Oval Office. No, not Oval. Is this the Oval Office? Whatever it is news conference room. Yeah, pretty funny. And then also rotting in a prison cell, by the way. That's pretty funny. So he's going all in on that. And now the special sauce to end off the stream here. Where's the Bitcoin targets at? What are the analysts saying? People are saying it's a $125,000 target. Trader sees big move next. Ethereum hits 3,750. We know that. The traders are eyeing price milestones in the weekly close, with a resistance trend line keeping Bitcoin bulls from heading to all-time highs. Bitcoin's market participants expect a resistance trend line breakout, with nearby targets including 125,000. What is that? I'm assuming it's like a trend line like this. Let me try to draw that to see if what they're aligning with is what I'm seeing. I'm assuming it's from these 2 points right over here. So wish me luck. I didn't click it. With for this week, a price target of 130. Okay, 125,000. No, I don't see that at all, unless we're referring to a different point. Maybe from here. I think this is probably what they're aligning with. Yeah, this looks more what they're aligning with, right? A resistance trend line is what they're referring to. So this is probably what they're looking at. And in the weekly chart too, right? Oh gosh, this looks horrible. But yeah, from these 2 points, sure. I guess that makes sense. I'm more bullish than that, I think. 135,000. Maybe not by this week though. Like, sure. For this week, 125,000 seems like a reasonable thing if things go according to plan. Attention continues to focus on altcoins while Bitcoin consolidates, with Ethereum reaching 7-month highs. It's good to see that, of course. Upside potential across altcoins remains, with many not yet copying Ether's rebound, says the latest market commentary. Traders are waiting for a new upside Bitcoin price breakout, of course. This is an outdated chart, I think. Does it tell you the day or time this is in? I mean, we're not at 118,000, and this rise probably was referring to this. They're looking at a 1-hour chart. Yeah, so they're looking at this rise over here. Bitcoin dropped since then. So we're still waiting for a breakout, and I would say that would be at this pivot level, 119,000 in the 1 hour chart, if you really care about intraday. I mean, yeah, it shows it the same in 4 hour chart. What am I talking about? Yeah, sure. Breakout of 119 should take us higher. Let me see if there's anything more relevant. Traders say a resistance trend line stands in the way of Bitcoin returning to price discovery above $123,000. It's getting ready for a big move. Cool. So that is what we are expecting to see. In terms of this week for economic data, now that I'm going to end off the stream soon, we're getting Tuesday Fed Chair Powell speech at 8:30 a.m. It'll be important because we're talking about this guy all the time. Will we fire this guy? Will we force him to resign? Will we bully him out of position, right? Out of office? So we'll see what this guy has to say in terms of rates. He's likely not going to say, like realistically, he's not likely not going to say much that'll shake the markets. He'll just keep it simple, like, yeah, you know, inflation, tariffs is there. Yeah, might. We're concerned about that. So our job is to focus on the economy and jobs, and we don't think it's appropriate to cut rates just yet. We'll need more time to get some data before we make a decision. That's probably what he's going to say. There you go. I summarized it for you. We'll see. If anything new happens or if he says anything mind-boggling, we'll cover that. Other than that, in terms of economic data, nothing much. Jobless claims, durable goods. Yeah, nothing's happening. And then the week after that, GDP, PCE. Yeah, that'll be important. And the non-farm payrolls on Friday. Oh, wow, because it's August already and next Friday. So we're getting non-farm payroll data there and unemployment. So the week after will be a little bit more important than this week. This week, low economic data, right? So when is Nvidia's earnings? Maybe that'll have an impact on the crypto market, because Nvidia, $4 trillion company now, by the way. I don't have it saved. What? When are we getting earnings? Load. August 27. Okay, we got a very long time. Forget that. And yeah, Nvidia hitting all-time highs, looking really, really strong. I drew this over here because I was tracking when Nancy Pelosi bought. We don't care about her anymore. This is irrelevant. These are my entry positions. Look how much I've suffered, but I've ultimately overcome those and taken profits. So there you go. All right. That'll be the end for the stream tonight, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will likely be streaming tomorrow in case some catastrophic event happens. Tuesday's no stream. And it'll have to be Wednesday when we figure out exactly a recap of what Jerome Powell says. And then maybe some new news comes out, right? Trump's volatile guy, so we'll see what happens. Maybe even Elon Musk will do something this week. We'll figure it out whenever it happens.